The security guard's hand clamped down on Marcus's shoulder, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "You deaf kid! I said get out!" The entire lobby of Prestige National Bank went silent. 50 pairs of eyes turned to watch as the guard shoved 28-year-old Marcus Chen toward the revolving doors, his worn sneakers squeaking against the marble. "Please," Marcus's voice cracked. "I just need to check my balance." Balance? Richard Blackwell's laugh cut through the air like broken glass. The bank's CEO stood from his desk, his $15,000 suit catching the chandelier light. "The only thing you need to check, boy, is which dumpster you crawled out of." Laughter rippled through the crowd. A woman in pearls covered her mouth, eyes gleaming with cruel delight. Marcus clutched the black card tighter in his dirty hand. If he could just show them, if someone would just listen. But nobody was listening. 20 minutes earlier, Marcus had stood outside Prestige National Bank for a full hour, watching people in expensive clothes glide through the golden revolving doors like they owned the world. Maybe they did. He'd counted his breaths. Mrs. Chen from the corner store had taught him that trick when he got anxious. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. But it wasn't working. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. The envelope in his pocket felt like it was burning through the fabric. Inside was a black card that had arrived 6 months ago, 2 days after his mother died. No explanation. Just the card and a letter he'd read so many times, the paper was starting to tear at the folds. "For my Marcus. Check the balance when you need to. I kept my promise. I love you more than all the stars." Yesterday, the eviction notice had appeared on their door. Yesterday, Emma had asked if they'd have dinner. Yesterday, Marcus had finally accepted that he had to use the card, even if he didn't understand where it came from, even if walking into a bank like this felt like jumping off a cliff. He pushed through the revolving doors. The cold hit him first, aggressive air conditioning that raised goosebumps on his arms. Then the smell, furniture polish, expensive perfume, and something else he couldn't name. Money, probably. Success. Things that had nothing to do with him. The marble floor stretched endlessly, reflecting the massive crystal chandeliers hanging from a ceiling that seemed impossibly high. Everything gleamed. Everything was perfect. Everyone belonged. Except him. Marcus's sneakers, 2 sizes too big, held together with duct tape because his feet kept growing, squeaked with each step. The sound echoed. Several heads turned. A woman behind the reception desk looked up, her smile evaporating the moment she saw him. Her eyes traveled from his tangled hair to his dirt-smudged face. No running water in the building for 4 days. To his threadbare jacket, to his ruined shoes. Her expression said everything. "You don't belong here. Can I help you?" Her tone suggested she'd rather do literally anything else. "I need to check my account balance." Marcus's voice came out smaller than he'd intended. "Please." The receptionist's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. "This is Prestige National Bank. We're a private banking institution. Perhaps you're looking for the community branch on... I have an account here." He pulled out the envelope with trembling hands. "I have a card." The card caught the light as he extracted it. Pure black, heavy, the bank's gold logo embossed on the front. Real. Official. The receptionist's confusion was almost comical. She leaned forward, squinting at the card like it might be a hologram. "That's, I need to verify this. Wait here." She disappeared into a back office, leaving Marcus standing at the desk. Around the lobby, people had stopped pretending not to stare. A man in a navy suit muttered something to his companion. A younger woman pulled out her phone, angling it toward Marcus. "She's filming me," Marcus realized with horror. "This is going to be all over social media." "Well, well," the voice boomed across the lobby. "What do we have here?" Richard Blackwell strode toward the reception desk like a king approaching his throne. At 47, he was everything Marcus wasn't. Tall, confident, powerful, rich. His silver hair was perfectly styled. His suit probably cost more than Marcus's entire building. His shoes reflected the chandelier light. He was smiling, but it wasn't a kind smile. Janet tells me we have a young entrepreneur trying to access his account. Richard's voice carried to every corner of the lobby. Several people chuckled. Let me guess, lemonade stand profits, paper route windfall? More laughter. The woman with the phone shifted for a better angle. Sir, Marcus began. No, let me guess further. Richard leaned against the desk, clearly enjoying himself. You found this card on the street? Or maybe... His eyes glinted with malice. You stole it from someone's mailbox? I didn't steal anything. The words burst out before Marcus could stop them. It came to me. My name is on it. Marcus Chen. Marcus Chen. Richard drew out the name, mockingly. And where exactly do you live, Marcus Chen? The Riverside Apartments, 4th floor. Someone in the crowd gasped. Marcus heard the whisper. That's the condemned building on Archer Street. Richard's smile widened. The condemned building, of course. And your parents? What do they do? The question hit like a fist to the stomach. My mom, she died 6 months ago. The lobby went quiet. Not sympathetic quiet, uncomfortable quiet. People looked away. I see, Richard said, his voice dripping with false sympathy. And your father? I don't have a father, just my sister. She's 8. So you're an orphan living in a condemned building with your baby sister? Richard straightened, addressing the crowd now instead of Marcus. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can all see what's happening here. This boy is clearly in distress. He's found or stolen a bank card and convinced himself it's real. It's sad, really. A sign of the failing social services system. It is real, Marcus's voice cracked. Please, just check the account. Just look. Security! Richard raised his hand. We need to escort this young man. Wait. A new voice cut through the tension. An older man emerged from the elevators, late 60s, kind eyes, wearing a suit that was expensive but understated. James Morrison, according to the nameplate he wore. Richard, James said calmly, before we call security, perhaps we should verify the account. It takes 2 minutes. Richard's jaw tightened. James, this is clearly... 2 minutes, James repeated, his tone brooking no argument. The card appears legitimate. The boy has a right to verification. For a moment, Marcus thought Richard would refuse. Then the CEO shrugged, a gesture that said, This is your funeral. Fine, let's verify. Richard's fingers flew across his keyboard. Marcus Chen, you said? Yes, sir. The typing seemed endless. The crowd pressed closer, sensing drama. The woman with the phone held it higher. Marcus touched the photograph in his pocket. His mother, smiling, back when she was healthy. Please, he thought. Please let this be real. Please let her have kept her promise. Richard's fingers stopped. His expression froze. The silence stretched for 5 seconds. 10. 15. Richard Blackwell stared at his computer screen like it had just displayed something in a language he didn't understand. That's... He stopped. Started again. That's impossible. What does it say? Marcus whispered. Richard didn't answer. His hand moved to his mouse, clicking frantically, refreshing the page, checking again. His professional mask cracked, just for a second, and Marcus saw genuine shock flash across his face. Janet! Richard's voice had lost its mocking edge. Pull up account number 4477-8821-3394. The receptionist hurried to her computer. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Then she stopped, her face going pale. Sir, the balance shows. I know what it shows, Richard snapped. He looked at Marcus, really looked at him for the first time. Where did you get this account? I told you, my mother. Your mother was a cleaning lady. How could a cleaning lady possibly... Richard caught himself, but the damage was done. How could a cleaning lady possibly what? Marcus felt heat rising in his chest. Have money? Save for her kids? Plan for their future? That's not what I meant. Yes, it was. Marcus's voice was stronger now. That's exactly what you meant. My mother cleaned offices her whole life. She cleaned buildings like this one. Maybe she even cleaned your office while you were home sleeping in your expensive bed. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. The woman with the phone was definitely recording now. Richard's face flushed red. Young man, I understand you're upset, but there's no need to be rude. I'm being rude? Marcus couldn't stop now. 6 months of grief and fear and anger were pouring out. You called me a thief in front of all these people. You said I crawled out of a dumpster. You were going to have me arrested. The account balance can't be correct, Richard said, his voice tight. There must be an error in the system. No one, especially not someone like you, could have this kind of money. Someone like me, Marcus repeated. You mean poor. You mean black. You mean not good enough for your fancy bank. I never said race had anything to do with... You didn't have to, Marcus was shouting now, and he didn't care. You took one look at me and decided I was nothing, just like everyone in this lobby decided I was nothing, because I'm dirty and my clothes are old and I don't look like I belong here. Marcus, James Morrison stepped forward, his voice gentle. Let's move this conversation somewhere private. No. Richard held up a hand, his expression strange. No. Let the boy speak. Clearly, he has something to say. Marcus's hands were shaking, but not from fear anymore, from rage, from 6 months of trying to be strong for Emma while the world crushed them, from years of watching his mother work herself to death while people like Richard Blackwell looked right through her. My mother's name was Linda Chen, Marcus said, his voice breaking. She worked 60 hours a week across 3 jobs, sometimes more. She cleaned your offices at night while you were at home. She washed your business clothes at the laundromat while you were eating expensive dinners. She did everything no one else wanted to do, and you know what she got for it? The lobby was dead silent. Nothing! Marcus slammed his hand on the desk, making several people jump. She got exhausted. She got sick. She got cancer that she couldn't afford to treat because she didn't have health insurance, because people like you don't give health insurance to cleaning ladies. Marcus, James said softly, please. And then she died. Tears were streaming down Marcus's face now. She died when I was 12 and Emma was 8, and you want to know what her last words to me were? I kept my promise. Check the balance when you need to. He pulled out his mother's letter, the paper worn thin from being read and reread. She wrote me this letter before she died. She told me she'd made sure Emma and I would be okay. She told me to check the account when I needed help. And I needed help. We're about to be evicted. We haven't had real food in 3 days. Emma keeps asking if we're going to be homeless. So I came here, to your bank, to ask for help. Marcus's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. And you called me trash. The woman with the phone had lowered it, tears on her cheeks. Several other people in the crowd were crying too. But Richard Blackwell just stood there, his face unreadable. The account balance, Richard said finally, his voice strange. It shows $47,300,000. Gasps erupted around the lobby. The woman with the phone nearly dropped it. Even James Morrison's eyes widened. That's impossible, someone whispered. A kid can't have that much money. It's a life insurance policy, James said, looking at his tablet. Taken out 12 years ago by Linda Chen. Small payments, $25 a month, consistently paid for over a decade with no missed payments. The policy was structured to grow over time, and upon her death, it paid out $50 million. After taxes and fees, $47.3 million was deposited into a trust account for her children. She paid $25 a month. A man in the crowd sounded incredulous. For 12 years. She was dying, Marcus said. She knew she was dying, and she didn't tell us because she didn't want us to be scared. She just kept working and saving and planning, and she made sure we'd be okay even after she was gone. That's, the woman with the pearls pressed her hand to her mouth. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Richard Blackwell was staring at Marcus like he was seeing him for the first time. Your mother paid $25 a month on a cleaning lady's salary. She wore the same 3 outfits for 5 years, Marcus said. She never bought herself anything. She walked to work to save bus fare. His voice broke completely. She went without eating some nights so Emma and I could have dinner. The lobby had transformed. The mockery was gone, replaced by something else. Shame, horror, recognition that they'd all just witnessed something profound. I humiliated you, Richard said quietly, in front of all these people. I called you trash. I said you crawled out of a dumpster. I accused you of being a thief. Yes, and your mother. Richard's professional mask had completely shattered. Your mother was the kind of person who sacrificed everything for her children, who planned for their future even while she was dying, who showed more financial discipline and parenting skill than most of my wealthy clients ever will. Yes. Richard Blackwell, CEO of Prestige National Bank, one of the most powerful financial executives in the city, did something Marcus had never expected. He started to cry. I'm sorry, Richard said, and his voice was completely broken. Marcus, I am so deeply sorry. The crowd stood frozen, watching one of the most powerful men in banking weep in the middle of his own lobby. My mother, Richard continued, wiping his eyes, was a cleaning lady too, in the Bronx, in the 1960s. She worked 3 jobs to keep food on our table until my father's business took off when I was 16. Marcus stared at him. I forgot, Richard said. I spent 30 years climbing the ladder, making money, building power, and I forgot where I came from. I forgot what it means to struggle. I forgot that the people who clean these buildings, who wash our clothes, who do the work we consider beneath us, they're not invisible. They're human beings with families and dreams and dignity. He turned to face the crowd. Everyone here just watched me humiliate a child whose mother loved him enough to sacrifice everything. A child whose mother was exactly like mine. And I treated him like garbage because he didn't look wealthy. Mr. Blackwell, James started. No, James. Richard held up a hand. Everyone needs to hear this. I built my career on judging people by their bank accounts, by their clothes, by whether they fit into my idea of what success looks like. And I just made the worst mistake of my professional life. He looked back at Marcus. Your mother understood something I'd forgotten. That real wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the lives you touch, the sacrifices you make, the love you give. She was richer than I'll ever be, and she never had more than a few $100s to her name. She was the best person I ever knew, Marcus said quietly. I believe you. Richard pulled out his phone. James, I want you to set up a meeting with our entire board for tomorrow morning. We're making changes, major changes. What kind of changes? James asked. Every service worker in this building is getting a raise, a significant raise. They're getting health insurance, paid vacation, retirement benefits, everything our executive staff gets. And I want to establish a scholarship fund in Linda Chen's name for the children of service workers. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Richard, James said carefully, that's going to cost millions. Good. Richard's voice was firm. We can afford it. And more than that, it's the right thing to do. It's what someone like Linda Chen would have done if she'd had the resources. He turned back to Marcus. I can't undo what I did to you today. I can't take back the words I said or the way I treated you. But I can try to be better. I can try to become the kind of person who would have seen your mother's worth, who would have seen your worth, regardless of how you looked or where you lived. Marcus didn't know what to say. This wasn't how he'd imagined this going, not the humiliation, but not this either. not a powerful CEO crying and promising to change. "There's something else," James said, checking his tablet. "Marcus, your mother's trust includes specific instructions. The money is yours and Emma's, but there are conditions about how it's managed until you turn 25. You'll receive a monthly allowance of $15,000 for all expenses, housing, food, education, everything you need." $15,000? Marcus couldn't comprehend the number. "Every month?" "Every month," James confirmed. "Your mother made sure you'd never have to worry about money again." The woman who'd been filming lowered her phone completely. "That is the most incredible story I've ever heard." "It's not a story," Marcus said. "It's my mom. She was real. She was amazing. And she deserved better than—" He gestured around the lobby. "Better than this. Better than being invisible. Better than working herself to death." "You're absolutely right," Richard said. "She did deserve better. And while I can't change the past, I can make sure other people like her are treated with the respect and dignity they deserve." He extended his hand to Marcus. "Can you forgive me?" Marcus looked at the offered hand. This man had hurt him, had humiliated him, had judged him based on nothing but his appearance. Part of him wanted to refuse, to walk out and never come back. But then he thought about his mother's letter. "Be kind to people who work hard jobs. Remember that I was one of those people. Money is just money. It's what you do with it that matters." Marcus took Richard's hand. "I forgive you," he said. "But you have to promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll remember this. Promise me that every time you see someone who looks like I did today, dirty, poor, scared, you'll remember that they're somebody's son or daughter, that they might be someone like me, someone whose mother loved them enough to sacrifice everything." Richard's grip tightened. "I promise. I swear to you, Marcus, I will never forget this day." James cleared his throat. "Marcus, I think it's time we got you and Emma into proper housing, and we need to arrange for a legal guardian." "I'd like to help with that," Richard interrupted, "if you'll let me. Not as a banker, but as someone who's learned an important lesson. Someone who wants to honor your mother's memory by making sure you and your sister have everything you need." Marcus thought about it. "Okay. But I have one condition." "Name it." "I want to start a foundation. The Linda Chen Foundation, for kids like me and Emma, kids whose parents are working themselves to death but still can't make ends meet. I want to help them." Richard smiled, a real smile this time, not the cruel one from before. "That's a beautiful idea, and I'd be honored to help you build it." As Marcus prepared to leave with James to discuss the next steps, the crowd parted to let them through. Several people stopped him to apologize for watching his humiliation without intervening. The woman who'd been filming deleted the video in front of him. "Your mother raised an incredible young man," she said. "She'd be so proud of you." At the door, Marcus turned back to look at the lobby one more time. Richard Blackwell was standing at his desk, watching him. Their eyes met across the marble expanse. Marcus thought about his mother, working late nights, sacrificing everything, never complaining. He thought about the letter in his pocket and the promise she'd kept. "I love you more than all the stars." She'd kept her promise, and now Marcus would keep his, to honor her memory by helping others, by staying kind, by remembering where he came from. He pushed through the revolving doors and stepped into the sunlight. For the first time in 6 months, Marcus Chen felt something he'd almost forgotten: hope.